Moving on now to China, the officially atheist country where many say they face religious persecution. That includes Christians who say the government has been cracking down on their churches in recent months. Chinese authorities deny that, saying the buildings have been bulldozed for zoning violations.
Despite these reported attempts to suppress them, the number of Christians in China is growing fast. Experts report at least 30 million Christians in the country already. VOA religion reporter Jerome Sokolovsky visited a Chinese Christian church here in the U.S., and he tells me what he learned. Jerome, let's start with the history of this. What's behind this rise that we're seeing of Christianity in China?
Well, the people I've spoken to, several of them mentioned Tiananmen Square as a historic moment, not just in the democracy movement, but also in people losing faith in Marxist ideology. And many of the intellectuals that were involved in that movement have turned to Christianity, and they almost see that as a kind of democratic movement, having freedom of expression, freedom of religion.
How are Christians being treated right now in China?
Well, it's a complex issue. Most Christians are worshiping according to their faith, but there are some places where the Chinese government, through local authorities, has been cracking down on churches. They've been removing crosses from some churches. They've been outright demolishing other churches.
Videos from Radio Free Asia show a human barrier aimed at preventing the demolition of a church in Wenzhou in April. Chinese authorities say churches have been bulldozed for zoning violations.
But observers say they're testing the waters. They want to see what international reaction is. What is clear here is that the Chinese government is concerned about the rapid growth of Christianity. Some people say that it's growing so fast that in a couple decades, China will be the biggest Christian country in the world with around 250 million Christians.
Now, you had the chance to talk to some Chinese Americans about their feelings about what's going on in China with the crackdown on the churches. What are their thoughts?
Well, there's definitely a lot of concern. People are following the events in China.
In Washington, the former pastor of Harvest Church, Zhang Bo-li, spoke of a systematic crackdown on Christianity in China.
The stronger the persecution, the purer the church will become. The more persecutions, the more lively the church will become.
The interesting thing is that many Christians in China have been Christians less than 10 years. So there's an attempt by Chinese Christians here to reach out to their brethren or co-religionists in China to help them learn about their faith. And they say that's one of the big problems, is that there aren't enough pastors in China to teach what Christianity is. All these people are becoming Christians, but have trouble learning about their own faith.
Right, and is that because it's just you're not able to freely disseminate that information in China?
That is indeed one of the problems. There is internet censorship in China, and there's a shortage of pastors and people with the credentials to be able to teach that. So there are problems with churches inventing their own kind of way forward.
Right. In your story, you mentioned the Pope's recent visit to East Asia, specifically South Korea, as sending a message to China. What was that message?
Well, it's clear that the Pope, in his trip to Korea, was also talking to Christians in China and to Chinese authorities, was trying to send a message, which is that Korea can be a model for Christianity in China. It's a country where Christianity has developed. It has helped the development of democracy there. The Vatican's relations with China have been touchy. It's like a pendulum that swings back and forth. And both the Vatican and many other Christian churches, Protestant Christian churches, are concerned about the Chinese government's crackdowns on their faith there.
And that was VOA religion reporter Jerome Sokolovsky. Thank you so much for that.